My name is Lauren Mitchell. I'm 31 years old, and for 4 days straight, my grandfather lay in a hospital bed asking for me while my own parents stood outside his door telling every nurse, every doctor, every single person who walked past that I didn't care enough to come. When I finally showed up, because a stranger called me from a number I didn't recognize, my mother stepped in front of the door, looked me dead in the eyes, and said something I still hear every time I close mine. "He doesn't want to see you, Lauren. He wants peace." But a nurse named Carla grabbed my wrist, pulled me down a back hallway, and handed me a phone. She leaned in close like she was about to break a rule she'd been holding on to for years and whispered, "Your grandfather has been asking for you since Monday. Your parents blocked every call. He told me if you ever showed up, I should give you this." What I heard on that phone made my hands start shaking before the recording even finished. I didn't wait. I didn't think so. I stepped out into that hallway and called 911 before my grandfather even closed his eyes. Before I tell you what was on that phone, if this story means anything to you at all, take a second to subscribe to Women Reddit Stories. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is right now. Now let me take you back 4 days earlier, to the moment everything started shifting and I didn't even realize it yet. It's 2:40 in the morning in Cedar Falls, Iowa. I'm walking home from Mercy General after a 12-hour shift that felt like it lasted 2 days. My scrubs smell like disinfectant and the cheap vanilla hand lotion one of my patients insists I use every night before she goes to sleep. My car has been sitting in my apartment parking lot for almost 3 weeks now, waiting on a transmission part that keeps getting delayed somewhere in Chicago, so I walk 25 minutes, every night, through quiet streets where the only sound is the hum of distant highway traffic and the occasional porch light flickering on when someone's dog hears me pass. By the time I reach my building, my feet are sore, my shoulders are tight, and all I want is a shower and maybe 3 hours of sleep before I have to do it all again. I unlock my door, step inside, and the apartment greets me the same way it always does, silent, still, faintly smelling like the coffee I made 12 hours ago and never finished. I kick off my shoes, drop my bag on the kitchen counter, and I'm halfway to the bathroom when my phone buzzes in my pocket. Unknown number. Area code 319. Local. I almost ignore it. Calls at this hour don't bring good news, and I've learned that the hard way more than once. But something I can't explain, makes me stop, turn back, and answer. "Hello?" There's a pause, just long enough to make my stomach tighten. Is this Lauren Mitchell? The voice is older, controlled, but there's tension under it, like someone holding themselves together by sheer will. "Yes, who is this?" "My name is Carla. I'm a nurse at Mercy General." She pauses again, and I hear her take a breath. "Your grandfather, Henry Mitchell, you need to come here. Right now." Everything inside me drops. My grandfather? I press my hand against the counter to steady myself. I talked to my mom yesterday. She said he was stable. She said he was resting. Carla doesn't hesitate this time. He is not stable. And the people telling you that? Another pause, shorter, sharper. They are not telling you the truth. The line goes dead. I stand there in my kitchen at almost 3 in the morning, phone still pressed to my ear, staring at nothing while the words settle in like something heavy and cold. I've called the hospital 3 times this week. Every single time, I got the same answer. Mr. Mitchell is resting. No visitors at this time. Please contact the primary family representative. The primary family representative. My mother. I lower the phone slowly and set it on the counter, but my hand doesn't move away from it. My heart is beating faster now, not from panic exactly, but from something sharper, something that feels a lot like recognition. I should probably explain something. My grandfather raised me. Not completely, not officially, but in all the ways that mattered. My parents were always there physically, but not really present. My dad worked long hours at a construction company outside Waterloo, and my mom. My mom was the kind of person who always had something more important going on. Church committees, charity events, social circles that never seemed to include me. So when I was 8 years old and started spending weekends at my grandfather's house on the edge of town, it didn't take long before weekends turned into weeks, and weeks turned into something that felt a lot like home. Henry Mitchell built the house himself in 1978. Every floorboard, every cabinet, every window frame. He used to tell me stories about how he measured everything twice, sometimes 3 times, because close enough wasn't something you said when you were building something meant to last. The place still smells like wood shavings and black coffee, even now. He taught me how to cook eggs without burning them, how to change a tire, how to read a blueprint even though I never ended up using it. When I told him I wanted to be a nurse, he didn't just nod and say that was nice. He drove me to my classes every morning for 2 years and waited in the parking lot with a crossword puzzle until I finished. My parents showed up for the graduation. He was there for everything else. So when Carla says he's not stable, and that the people telling me otherwise aren't telling the truth, I don't question whether I should go. I question why I wasn't already there. I grab my phone and call my mother. It rings twice before she answers. Lauren? Her voice is calm, too calm. Do you know what time it is? I just got a call from Mercy General, I say, skipping everything else. A nurse named Carla. She said Grandpa isn't stable. Silence. Not confusion. Not surprise. Silence. Mom? A soft exhale. Then, Lauren, your grandfather is resting. I told you that yesterday. Then why did a nurse call me at 3 in the morning telling me to come right now? Another pause, longer this time. I can hear something shifting behind her voice, like she's choosing her next words carefully. You don't need to come up here, she says finally. There's nothing you can do. You'll just upset him. My grip tightens on the phone. Upset him? I haven't seen him in 4 days because you told the hospital not to let me in. That's not what I said. That is exactly what they told me. Her tone changes then, just a little. Harder. I am his medical proxy, Lauren. I'm making decisions that are best for him. You have a job, you have responsibilities. He's my grandfather. And he's my father, she snaps, the calm cracking just enough to show something underneath it. And right now, what he needs is quiet, not drama. Drama. The word lands wrong. I'm coming anyway, I say. No, you're not. It's immediate. Firm. Not a suggestion. I'm already getting ready, I reply, my voice steadier than I feel. Lauren, listen to me. Now there's something else in her voice. Not concerned. Not fear. Control. If you come here, you will make things harder for everyone. He doesn't need that right now. I don't answer. Because something is clicking into place in my head, piece by piece, and I don't like the picture it's forming. Lauren, she says again. I'll be there in 20 minutes. And I hung up. I won't wait. I don't second guess it. I grab my jacket, my keys, out of habit, even though I know my car isn't moving, and head straight for the door. If my grandfather is asking for me, I'm not staying away because someone told me to. Not this time. Rosa is the only person I can think of at 3 o'clock in the morning who might actually answer her phone. She works nights with me at Mercy General, CNA, mid-40s, drives an old Honda Civic that smells like peppermint gum and cigarette smoke. She swears she quit years ago. She's the kind of person who complains the entire shift but still stays late when someone needs help, the kind of person who pretends not to care but always shows up when it matters. I hit her contact and press call. It rings once. Twice. Then, Lauren? You okay? Her voice is thick with sleep, but alert in that way healthcare workers always are, like we're trained to wake up already halfway into a crisis. I need a ride, I say, already stepping outside into the cold air. To Mercy. Right now. There's a pause, the sound of sheets shifting. What happened? I don't know yet. My grandfather. A nurse called me. Said it's bad. Another pause, shorter this time. I'm 5 minutes out, she says, and hangs up. I stand on the sidewalk outside my building, arms wrapped around myself, the early morning air biting through my scrubs. The street is empty, the kind of quiet that feels unnatural, like the world is holding its breath. My phone buzzes in my hand. Mom. I let it ring. It stops. Then it starts again. I declined it this time. A minute later, a text appears. Do not come here. No explanation. No softness. Just a command. Something about it makes my chest tighten, not with doubt, but with certainty. She doesn't want me there. And not in the way someone doesn't want a stressful situation to get worse. In the way someone doesn't want something seen. Headlights turn the corner at the end of the street, slow, then faster as they approach. Rosa's Civic pulls up in front of me, engine idling loud in the quiet neighborhood. I open the passenger door and slide in. She takes one look at my face and doesn't ask any more questions. She just pulls away from the curb and presses the gas a little harder than usual. The drive to Mercy General takes about 12 minutes at this hour. Every traffic light turns green before we reach it, like the road is clearing itself for us, and neither of us says much. The silence isn't uncomfortable, it's focused. But my mind isn't quiet. It's moving fast, replaying every conversation from the past week. Every call I made. Every time I was told he was resting. Every time I asked if I could come in. Every time my mother said, "Not today, Lauren. He needs his strength." And now a nurse is calling me in the middle of the night telling me the opposite. Your parents there? Rosa asks finally, eyes on the road. Yeah. And they told you not to come. It's not a question. Yeah. She exhales through her nose. That's not normal. No, I say quietly. It's not. The hospital comes into view ahead of us, lit up against the dark sky, windows glowing in rows like a grid of quiet stories happening all at once. I've walked these halls hundreds of times, but tonight feels different before I even step inside. Rosa pulls into the drop-off lane. You want me to wait? She asks. I hesitate for half a second. Yeah. She nods once. I'll be right here. I push the door open and step out. The automatic doors slide open with that familiar soft hiss, and the hospital air hits me immediately, clean, sterile, faintly cold. The lobby is nearly empty, just a security guard behind the desk and a nurse at the front station typing something into a computer. I walk straight up to the desk. I'm here to see Henry Mitchell, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. Room. Before I can finish, the nurse looks up, recognition flashing across her face, followed immediately by something else. Hesitation. I'm sorry, she says carefully. Are you on the approved visitor list? There it is. The same line. I'm his granddaughter, I reply. Lauren Mitchell. She types something quickly, eyes scanning the screen. Then she looks back up at me, and I can see the answer before she even says it. I'm sorry, Lauren. You're not listed. For a second, I just stood there. Even though I knew. Even though I expected it. Hearing it again, in person, hits differently. He's asking for me, I say, my voice tightening despite my effort to keep it even. A nurse named Carla called me. She said. The nurse's expression shifts, just slightly, like a name she recognizes but doesn't want to react to. I'm sorry, she repeats, softer now. But I can't let you up without authorization from the primary contact. My mother, I say. She nods. I take a breath, trying to stay calm, trying not to let frustration take over too quickly. Can you call her? I ask. Tell her I'm here. The nurse hesitates, then nods again and reaches for the phone. I step back, my hands curling into fists at my sides as I wait. It only takes about 30 seconds. She hangs up. I spoke with Mrs. Mitchell, she says. And? Another pause. She said the same thing. No visitors. Something sharp twists in my chest. Did she say why? The nurse shakes her head slightly. Just that it's not a good time. Not a good time. My grandfather is dying, and it's not a good time. I swallow hard, forcing myself not to react, not to make a scene right here in the lobby. Okay, I say, even though it's not okay. Thank you. I turn away from the desk and walk toward the elevators anyway. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get there. I just know I'm not leaving. The elevator doors open with a soft chime, and I step inside, pressing the button for the 4th floor with a hand that's steadier than I feel. As the doors close, I catch my reflection in the mirrored panel, messy hair, tired eyes, wrinkled scrubs, and for a second, I see exactly what my parents probably see when they look at me. Someone easy to dismiss. Someone they think won't push back. The elevator dings and opens. The 4th floor is quiet in that specific hospital way, machines beeping softly behind closed doors, fluorescent lights humming overhead, the air thick with something unspoken. I step out and immediately see the room number sign at the end of the hallway. And I see them. My mother is standing just outside the door, arms crossed, posture straight, like she's holding her ground before I even get close. My father is next to her, leaning slightly against the wall, his expression already set, already decided. They both look up as I approach. Neither of them moves. What are you doing here? My mother asks. No surprise. No concern. Just irritation. I'm here to see Grandpa, I say, stopping a few feet away. My father lets out a quiet breath through his nose, like he expected this and is already tired of it. We told you not to come, he says. I know what you told me, I replied. And I'm here anyway. My mother steps forward slightly, positioning herself more directly in front of the door. He's resting, Lauren. That's not what I was told. And who told you otherwise? She asks, her voice sharpening. A nurse. Carla. For the first time, something flickers across both their faces. It's quick. But it's there. Then it's gone. You shouldn't be listening to random staff, my father says smoothly. They don't have the full picture. I think they have more of it than I do right now, I shoot back. My mother's jaw tightens. This isn't the time for this, she says. You're upset, and you're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking clearly enough to know something's wrong. No, she says, her voice dropping lower, colder. What's wrong is you showing up here and creating stress when he doesn't need it. I take a step forward. I'm not leaving. My father straightens slightly, pushing off the wall. Yes, he says, calm but firm. You are. I'm not. There's a beat of silence. Then my mother says it. Clear. Direct. Final. He doesn't want to see you, Lauren. The words hit, but they don't land the way she expects them to. Because I don't believe her. Not for a second. You're lying, I say quietly. Her expression hardens instantly. Excuse me? You're lying, I repeat, louder now. And I don't know why, but I'm going to find out. My father steps closer, placing himself fully between me and the door now. This isn't up for debate, he says. You're not going in. Behind him, through the narrow gap between his shoulder and the doorframe, I hear it. A sound. Faint. Weak. But unmistakable. Lauren. My heart stops. I don't think so. I move. But before I can get past them, a hand grabs my arm from behind. Firm. Urgent. Come with me, a voice whispers. I turn. And there she is. Carla. Carla doesn't wait for me to respond. Her grip tightens just enough to make it clear this isn't optional, and she pulls me down the hallway in the opposite direction before my parents can react. Hey, my father starts behind me. Carla doesn't even look back. Family needs a minute, she says over her shoulder, her tone calm but final, like she's said those words 1,000 times and never once been questioned. We turn the corner before I can see their faces, and the sound of their voices fades behind us. My heart is pounding now, not just from what I heard through that door, but from the way Carla is moving, fast, deliberate, like time matters more than rules. What's going on? I ask, trying to keep up with her pace. She doesn't answer right away. She pushes open a side door, one I've never used before even after years of working in this building, and leads me into a quieter corridor with dimmer lighting and fewer sounds. Then she stops. Turns to me. And for a second, she just looks at me. Up close, I can see the lines around her eyes, the kind that come from years of seeing too much and saying too little. Her badge reads Carla Jensen, RN, clipped neatly to her navy scrubs. Your grandfather has been asking for you for 4 days, she says finally. The words land heavy, but she doesn't soften them. Every shift. Every time he wakes up. He asks where you are. My throat tightens. I've been calling, I say. They told me he was resting. That he didn't want. I know what they told you, she cuts in gently, but firmly. Because they told us the same thing. A pause. Then, quieter, and we knew it wasn't true. Something in my chest cracks open at that. Why didn't anyone call me sooner? I ask, my voice barely holding steady. Carla exhales slowly, glancing down the hallway like she's checking for anyone listening. Because your mother made it very clear she didn't want you contacted, she says. And technically, as his medical proxy, she has that authority. But there's a difference between following orders and ignoring what's right in front of you. She looks back at me. And what's right in front of me is a man who cries himself to sleep because he thinks his granddaughter abandoned him. The words hit harder than anything else so far. I feel it in my chest, in my stomach, in the back of my throat. I didn't, I say, shaking my head. I would never. I know, she says immediately. He knows now, too. At least, he hoped you'd come. She reaches into the pocket of her scrubs and pulls something out. A phone. Old. Silver. Scratched along the edges. The kind of flip phone you don't really see anymore unless someone kept it for emergencies. I recognize it instantly. My grandfather's backup phone. He used to joke about it. Said smartphones were too smart for their own good, and that he liked something simple that just worked. Carla places it in my hand. He asked me to keep this safe, she says. 3 days ago. Right after your father took his regular phone and told staff to remove all outside contacts. My fingers close around it automatically, like muscle memory. What is this? I ask, even though something deep down already knows. He recorded everything, she says. The hallway feels quieter somehow, like the air itself is holding still. What do you mean everything? Carla meets my eyes, and there's no hesitation in her answer. I mean every conversation your father had in that room when he thought no one else was listening. A slow, cold wave moves through me. Why? I ask. Because your grandfather is not a man who gets confused easily, she replies. And he knew something wasn't right. She gestures toward a door behind her. Come on. We don't have long. He's been weaker today, and your father comes back every morning around 8. He checks the room first thing. I glance at the clock on the wall. 6:12 a.m. Less than 2 hours. Carla pushes the door open quietly, and we step into the room from the opposite side of where my parents were standing. Room 412. For a second, everything else fades. The machines. The lights. The hospital smell. All I see is him. My grandfather looks smaller. That's the first thing that hits me. Not just thinner, smaller, like something essential has been worn down over time. The man who used to carry lumber over his shoulder like it weighed nothing now looks like the hospital bed might be too much for him. Oxygen tubing runs under his nose. An 4 is taped to his hand. His chest rises and falls slowly, unevenly. But his eyes open the second I step closer. And when he sees me, something changes. Not physically. Not in a way anyone else might notice. But I feel it. Lauren, his voice is rough, barely more than a whisper. I'm at his side in 2 steps. I'm here, Grandpa, I say, taking his hand carefully. It feels lighter than I remember, but still warm. I'm right here. His fingers curl around mine, weak but intentional. You came, he says, and there's something in his voice that almost breaks me. Relief. Disbelief. Something deeper than both. Of course I came, I said quickly. I've been trying to get here all week. They told me you didn't want. I never said that, he interrupts, his voice shaking. I never said that. A tear slips down the side of his face. They told me you were busy. That you said you didn't need to come anymore. My chest tightens so hard it almost hurts. No, I say, shaking my head. No, I called every day. They told me you were sleeping. That I should wait. His eyes close for a second, and another tear follows the first. For days, he whispers. I thought you'd left. I didn't, I say, my voice breaking now despite everything I'm trying to hold together. I would never leave you. Not ever. He nods slightly, like he believes me, but the damage of those 4 days still lingers in the lines of his face. Then something shifts. His eyes open again, sharper now, more focused than they've been since I walked in. Listen to me, he says. The tone is different. Not weak. Not drifting. Deliberate. I don't have much time, he continues, his gaze flicking briefly toward the nightstand. I follow his eyes. Carla steps forward quietly and opens the drawer, pulling out the space where the phone had been hidden. He told me to give that to you if you came, she says softly. I look back at him. Grandpa, what's this? His grip on my hand tightens just slightly. Press play, he says. My thumb hovers over the small screen. There's a list. 7 recordings. Dates. Times. The first one is from 4 days ago. The day everything started. My heart is beating so loud now I can hear it in my ears. Are you sure? I ask, even though I already know the answer. His eyes don't leave mine. I need you to hear it, he says. All of it. I nod slowly. Then I press play. At first, there's just static. A faint rustling sound. Then a voice. My father's voice. Clear. Sharp. Unmistakable. Listen to me, he says, and there's no warmth in it, no patience. You're going to sign this paper today, or I'm going to make some changes you're not going to like. I freeze. On the bed, my grandfather closes his eyes. And the recording continues. The sound of my father's voice fills the room, louder than it should be, sharper than I've ever heard it in real life, like the phone has stripped away whatever mask he usually wears. You're going to sign this paper today, he says again, slower this time, like he's explaining something simple to someone he thinks is being difficult. Or I'm going to move you somewhere that doesn't ask questions. There's a pause. Then my grandfather's voice, weaker, shaking. This is my house. I built that house. A chair scrapes across the floor in the recording. I don't care what you built, my father snaps. You're lying in a hospital bed right now. You don't get to decide what happens next. My hand tightens around the phone. On the bed in front of me, My grandfather doesn't move. His eyes are closed, but I can see the tension in his face, like he's hearing it all over again. You're not thinking clearly, my father continues in the recording. And that's exactly why I'm here. To make sure things are handled the right way. The right way, my grandfather repeats faintly. Yes. The right way, my father says. Then his voice drops, colder. Not handing everything over to someone who doesn't deserve it. There's a silence. Heavy. Then my grandfather again, quieter. Lauren deserves. She doesn't deserve anything, my father cuts in, fast and sharp. She's not even. The recording stops. Not because it ended. Because I stopped it. My thumb hits the button before I can even think about it. The room is completely still. I can feel my pulse in my fingertips, in my throat, in my ears. She's not even, I repeat under my breath, the unfinished sentence hanging there like something dangerous. I look at my grandfather. His eyes are open now, watching me. There are 6 more, he says quietly. My stomach twists. 6 more. What is he trying to make you sign? I ask, even though part of me already knows. Power of attorney, he says. Financial. Medical. Everything. I stare at him. And you didn't sign it. His mouth moves slightly, something close to a tired smile. I built that house with my hands, he says. I'm not giving it away because someone thinks I'm too weak to say no. A lump rises in my throat. Of course he didn't sign it. But that doesn't mean my father stopped trying. I look back down at the phone. Play the next one, he says. This time, I don't hesitate. I press play. The second recording starts immediately. There's movement in the background, the faint echo of the hospital room. Then my father's voice again, but this time, he's on the phone. Yeah, once he signs, we're good, he says. The house is worth at least $250 in this market. Maybe more if we clean it up. A woman's voice comes through faintly on speaker. My mother. What about Lauren, she asks. My chest tightens. What about her, my father replies. She's been asking questions. She won't be a problem, he says quickly. I told her he doesn't want to see her. She believes that kind of thing. I feel something cold settle in my stomach. He doesn't even sound unsure. He sounds confident. Like he knows exactly how I think. Like he's been counting on it. What if she shows up, my mother presses. A pause. Then my father lets out a quiet breath. Then we handle it. The recording cuts off. I stare at the screen for a second, my reflection faint in the small display. Then I press the next one. Recording 3. This time, it's closer. Louder. Megan's not coming, my father says, then corrects himself immediately. Lauren's not coming. I called her. She said she's busy. My grandfather's voice is barely audible. She said that? Her words, my father replies smoothly. She's got work. She said she'd come when she can. I feel my grip on the phone tighten again. He didn't just block me. He replaced me. He filled in the silence with his own version of me. The recording ends. I don't stop this time. I press the 4th. Paper rustling. A pen clicking. Just sign it, my father says, irritation creeping into his voice now. This isn't complicated. I'll handle everything. The house, your accounts, your care. I want to talk to Lauren first, my grandfather says. There's a pause. Then, flat and immediate. She doesn't want to talk to you. The words hit harder this time. Because I know exactly how they landed when he heard them. The recording ends again. I press the 5th. A chair scrapes loudly this time. My father's voice is sharper, less controlled. You're being stubborn for no reason, he says. Do you really want to sit here alone? Because I can make that happen. Silence. You think she's coming? He continues. She's not. Nobody's coming. You're the only one still holding on to something that doesn't exist anymore. I can hear my grandfather breathing in the background. Slow. Uneven. The recording cuts. My hands are shaking now. Not from fear. From something else. Something building. I press the 6th recording. This one is different immediately. My father is on the phone again, but his tone is completely changed. Polished. Calm. Professional. Hi, yes, this is Henry Mitchell, he says smoothly. Date of birth is April 3rd, 1945. My heart drops. He's using my grandfather's voice. His identity. I'm calling about a transfer, he continues. Yes, I'd like to move $4,800 into my shared account. A pause. Yes, that's correct. Another pause. Routing number is. I stop it. I can't listen to the rest. I don't need to. I already understand. I look up at my grandfather. His eyes are steady on mine. How much? I ask. I don't know exactly, he says. But I know it's been happening. I nod slowly. Then I press the final recording. Number 7. This one is quieter. More controlled. My father speaking to someone else. A nurse. Lauren has some issues, he says, his voice lowered just enough to sound concerned. She can get emotional. Agitated. It's not good for him. My chest tightens. So if she shows up, he continues, it's best to keep her out. For his sake. The recording ends. Silence fills the room again. But it's not the same silence as before. This one is heavier. Full. Final. I lower the phone slowly, my hand still shaking, but my mind is clear in a way it hasn't been all night. He's been stealing from you, I say. My grandfather doesn't respond right away. Then, quietly, yes. I swallow. And trying to take everything else. Yes. I nod again, more to myself than to him. Because now I understand. Not just what's happening. But why? This wasn't about protecting him. This wasn't about keeping things calm. This was control. Isolation. Pressure. And time. My father thought he had time. Time to wear him down. Time to make him sign. Time to move money without anyone noticing. But he didn't count on one thing. Me finding out. I pull out my phone and open my email. What are you doing? Carla asks quietly from the doorway. Making sure this doesn't disappear, I say. I start transferring the files. One by one. Every recording. Every piece of proof. Then I open the banking app my grandfather showed me months ago. The login still works. And when the account loads, my stomach drops again. Because the numbers don't lie. 3 months ago, $46,800. Now, $32,900. $14,000 gone. Not in one transfer. In pieces. $4,800. $4,700. $4,900. Always just under the limit. Careful. Planned. I take screenshots of everything. Every transaction. Every date. Every account number. Then I email those to myself too. Backup. I don't rush. I don't panic. I move the way I do at work when something goes wrong and I need to stay focused. One step at a time. Behind me, I can feel my grandfather watching. Lauren, he says softly. I turn back to him. His eyes are calmer now. Not because things are okay. But because they're finally clear. What do you need me to do? I ask. He holds my gaze for a long moment. Then he says, protect yourself. Not the house. Not the money. Me. And that's when something inside me settles into place. Because this isn't just about stopping my father anymore. This is about finishing what he started. The right way. I glance at the clock on the wall. 6:58 a.m. He said my father comes at 8. That gives me just over an hour. An hour before the man who's been controlling everything walks back into this room thinking nothing has changed. But everything has. And what I do next is going to change it even more. I don't waste the hour I have left. I use it. The same way I've been trained to use time when something goes wrong on a shift and there's no one else coming to fix it for you, methodically, one step at a time, no emotion in the process even if everything inside you is screaming. First, I finish backing up every recording. Not just to my email, but to a second cloud account I haven't used in months. Then I plug in my earbuds and listen to each file again, one by one, making sure they transferred cleanly, that nothing is corrupted, nothing cut off. I don't trust a single point of failure, not when this is the only thing standing between the truth and whatever version of reality my father has been building. Second, I take more screenshots. Not just the transaction history, but the account details, the routing numbers, the timestamps. I zoom in on each one so nothing is unclear. I label them, organize them, send copies to myself again. Redundancy. If one thing disappears, 10 more remain. Third, I step out into the hallway and call Adult Protective Services. It rings longer than I want it to, each second stretching thin, until finally a voice answers. Adult Protective Services, how can I help you? My voice is steady when I speak. My name is Lauren Mitchell. I need to report suspected financial exploitation and coercion of an elderly patient at Mercy General Hospital. I have audio recordings and bank documentation. There's a shift on the other end of the line, subtle but immediate. Okay, ma'am. I'm going to need some details. I give them everything. Names. Dates. The recordings. The threats. The money. I don't embellish. I don't speculate. I stick to facts. When I hang up, I call the non-emergency police line next. The dispatcher is calm, efficient, asking the same kinds of questions in a different order. I answer all of them the same way. Facts. Only facts. By the time I end that call, something inside me feels different. Not lighter, but aligned. Like everything is finally moving in the direction it should have been moving all along. When I step back into the room, my grandfather is asleep. Not the restless, shallow kind of sleep Carla described from the last few days. Real sleep. His face is relaxed, the lines softened, his breathing slower but steadier. I pull the chair closer to the bed and sit down beside him, careful not to disturb the hand resting near mine on the blanket. For a moment, I let myself stop. Just for a moment. I look at him and see flashes of everything he's been to me. The man standing in the driveway teaching me how to back up a car without panicking. The one sitting at the kitchen table with his coffee and crossword puzzle. The one who showed up every time no one else did. 4 days. For days he thought I left him. My chest tightens again, but I push it down. There's time for that later. Right now, there's only one thing that matters. Making sure it never happens again. The clock on the wall reads 7:41 a.m. I stand up slowly. I'll be back, I whisper, even though he's asleep. Carla meets me at the door. You leaving? She asks quietly. For now, I say. I need to set something else in motion. She studies my face for a second, like she's trying to read what I'm planning. Then she nods. Be careful, she says. I will. I step out into the hallway just as the hospital starts to shift from night into morning. More staff, more movement, More noise creeping in around the edges. By the time I reach the elevator, my phone buzzes. Dad. I stare at the screen for a second. Then I answer. You were in his room, he says immediately. Not a question. A statement. Yes. A sharp exhale on the other end. Who let you in? I walked in, I reply calmly. That's not possible. You're not authorized. I saw my grandfather. Silence. Then his voice changes. Drops. Gets quieter. Controlled. You need to leave, he says. Now. I'm already leaving, I say. Good, he replies quickly. Because if you keep pushing this, you're going to make things very difficult for yourself. There it is. Not concern. Not anger. A warning. I don't respond right away. I let the silence stretch just enough. Then I say, I know about the recordings. The silence that follows is different. Heavier. Longer. What recordings, he asks finally, but the question comes too fast. Too rehearsed. You know exactly what recordings? Another pause. I can almost hear him thinking. Recalculating. Then he shifts again. Lauren, he's not in his right mind right now, he says, his tone softening artificially. He's confused. He says things? I heard you, I cut in. No room for interpretation. No room for him to redirect it. I heard everything. The elevator doors open in front of me, but I don't step in yet. I wait. Because I want to hear what he says next. And for a moment, he says nothing. Then. You don't understand what's going on, he says, and now there's something else in his voice. Not calm. Not control. Pressure. I understand enough, I reply. You don't, he insists. He's sick, Lauren. He's not thinking clearly. And you showing up like this, recording things, making accusations, you're going to regret it. Regret it. The word hangs there. I almost laugh. Not because it's funny. Because it's predictable. I'm not the one who should be worried about regret, I say. And then I hang up. I don't wait for his response. I don't give him the chance to take control of the conversation again. I step into the elevator and press the button for the lobby. As the doors close, I finally let myself breathe. But it's not relief. It's focus. Because now I know something for sure. He's scared. Not of me. Of what I have. The elevator reaches the lobby, and I step out to find Rosa exactly where I left her, leaning against her car with a coffee in her hand like she's been waiting this whole time. She looks up as I approach. Well, she asks. I stop in front of her, the weight of everything sitting just beneath the surface. He's been lying, I say. About what? Everything. She studies my face for a second. Then she nods slowly. Okay, she says. So what's the plan? I look back at the hospital for a moment. At the building where my grandfather is still lying in that bed. Where my father thinks he still has control. Then I look back at her. I'm not fighting him in that room, I say. Then where? I hold her gaze. Somewhere he can't control the story. And for the first time since this started, I know exactly where that is. By the time Rosa drops me back at my apartment, the sun is fully up, but I don't go inside right away. I sit in the passenger seat for a second, staring at nothing, letting everything I've just heard and seen settle into something usable. Because that's the difference now. Before, I was reacting. Now, I'm planning. You're thinking, Rosa says, watching me. Yeah. That look usually means someone's about to have a very bad day. I almost smile. Not someone, I say. Just one person. She nods like that's enough explanation, because it is. You good? She asks. I will be. She taps the steering wheel once. Call me if you need backup. I will. I step out of the car and head inside. The apartment feels different now. Same walls. Same furniture. Same quiet. But I'm not the same person who left it a few hours ago. I drop my bag on the table, grab a bottle of water, and sit down with my phone. The first thing I do is call back Adult Protective Services. This time, I get connected to a caseworker directly. My name is Lauren Mitchell, I say. I called earlier about suspected elder abuse at Mercy General. I have additional documentation. Her tone sharpens immediately. Are you in a safe place to speak? Yes. Go ahead. I walk her through everything again, but this time with more detail. The recordings. The financial transfers. The threats. The isolation. When I finish, there's a brief silence. Then she says, "We're opening a formal investigation. I'm going to assign this to a field agent today. They'll likely want to meet you and your grandfather in person." Today? I ask. Yes. Given what you've described, this is being prioritized. Good. Thank you, I say. We'll be in touch within a few hours. When the call ends, I don't pause. I dial the police department next, the same number I called earlier. This time, I ask for the detective assigned to elder financial crimes. It takes a few minutes, but eventually, I'm transferred. Detective Harris, a voice answers. My name is Lauren Mitchell, I say. I believe my grandfather is being financially exploited, and I have recordings of the person responsible. Another shift in tone. Go ahead. I explain it again. Shorter this time. Cleaner. By the end, he says, "Can you come down to the station today?" I can. Bring everything you have. I will. When I hang up, I finally lean back in my chair. 2 calls. 2 official records. 2 separate systems now aware of what's happening. That matters. Because this isn't just a family issue anymore. It's a case. My phone buzzes on the table. A text. From my mother. We need to talk. I stare at it for a second. Then another message comes through. You've made things worse. I don't respond. Because I already know how that conversation would go. She would try to control it. Redirect it. Minimize it. And I'm not playing that game anymore. Instead, I open Facebook. I don't use it much, but something tells me I should check. It only takes a few seconds to find it. My father's post. Blue background. White text. Prayer hands emoji. Please keep my father, Henry Mitchell, in your prayers. Our family is going through a difficult time. We will be holding a prayer vigil at First Community Church this Saturday at 7 p.m. Henry has given so much to this town. Please come show your support. Hundreds of reactions. Dozens of comments. Praying for your family. Henry is a good man. You're such a strong son. I scroll slowly. Reading every word. Every version of the story he's already started building. Then I see one comment. Mrs. Carter. My grandfather's neighbor for over 20 years. How is Lauren doing? Haven't seen her around. My father's reply is right underneath. Lauren is dealing with some personal issues right now. We're giving her space. I read that twice. Then a third time. Personal issues. Space. He's not just isolating me from my grandfather. He's rewriting me. Turning me into a version of myself that explains my absence. That justifies his control. That makes everything he's doing look reasonable. I set the phone down slowly. And that's when it becomes completely clear. If I try to fight this privately, I lose. Because he's already shaping the narrative publicly. Which means I don't just need proof. I need an audience. I glance back at the post. Saturday. 7 p.m. First Community Church. A prayer vigil. A room full of people who trust him. Who believe him. Who think they know what's happening. I pick up my phone again. And I smile. Not because anything about this is funny. But because he just gave me exactly what I need. A place. A time. And a crowd. My phone buzzes again. A different name this time. Ethan. I haven't seen my younger brother in almost a year. We've never been close. Not really. Same house, different lives. He stayed near our parents. I didn't. I answer. Lauren? His voice is quieter than I remember. Yeah. I saw Dad's post. Okay. There's a pause. I also heard some things, he says. From who? From him. From Mom. From people. I wait. Because I know this moment matters. And if I push it, I might lose it. They're saying you're making things complicated, he continues carefully. That grandpa needs calm, and you showing up like this is. Is what? I ask. Disruptive, he finishes. I nod slowly, even though he can't see me. That's what they told you? Yeah. And what do you think? Silence. Longer this time. Then, I don't know. Honest. At least that's something. I have proof, Ethan, I say. Of everything. Another pause. What kind of proof? Enough. I don't explain it. Not yet. Are you going to the vigil? I ask. Yeah. Good, I say. A beat. Then I'll see you there. I hang up before he can ask anything else. Because I don't need him convinced right now. I just need him there. I stand up from the table and walk to the window, looking out at the street below. Cars passing. People moving. Normal life continuing like nothing is happening. But something is happening. Something that's been building for days. And it's about to reach a point where it can't be controlled anymore. Saturday night. One room. One story. And for the first time since this started, I'm the one who decides how it's told. Saturday night comes faster than I expect. All day, everything feels sharper. Louder. Like the world is slightly out of focus except for one thing sitting dead center, 7 p.m., First Community Church. I spend the afternoon getting ready, but not in the way people usually mean that. I'm not picking outfits or fixing my hair or trying to look a certain way. I'm preparing evidence. I transfer every recording onto a USB drive and check it twice. I organize the screenshots of the bank transactions into a folder, printed and labeled with dates and amounts. I make sure my phone is fully charged, files backed up, volume settings ready. Not because I'm nervous. Because I'm not leaving anything to chance. By 6:20, Rosa is outside. You sure about this? She asks when I get in. No, I say honestly. But I'm doing it anyway. She nods once and starts driving. The church comes into view 10 minutes later, white siding glowing under the evening lights, the parking lot already full. Trucks, sedans, minivans, people from every part of town showing up for a man they respect. For a man my father has been using. Inside, the air is warm, filled with low voices and the soft hum of an organ playing somewhere near the front. Rows of wooden pews stretch across the room, polished from years of use. My grandfather built some of them. I can see the craftsmanship even now. People fill the seats, talking quietly, heads bowed, hands folded. Familiar faces everywhere, neighbors, old teachers, people who watched me grow up. People who think they know what's happening. At the front of the room, my father stands near the podium, dressed in a dark suit, his expression carefully composed. My mother is beside him, one hand resting lightly on his arm, her posture calm, supportive. They look like exactly what they want everyone to see. A devoted son. A grieving family. I step inside. At first, no one notices. Then one person turns. Then another. And just like that, a ripple moves through the room, heads turning, whispers starting, attention shifting. My father sees it. Sees me. And for just a second, his expression slips. Not completely. But enough. I walk down the center aisle, not fast, not slow, just steady. Every step feels deliberate, like I'm moving through something thicker than air. By the time I reach the front, the room is quiet. My father leans slightly toward the microphone. "Lauren," he says, his voice warm, practiced. "I'm glad you could make it." I stop a few feet away. "I'd like to say something," I reply, looking not at him, but at the pastor standing nearby. There's a brief hesitation. A glance exchanged. Then the pastor nods. Of course. My father doesn't argue. He can't. Not here. Not like this. I step up to the podium. For a second, I just look out at the room. All those faces. All those expectations. All those assumptions. Then I take a breath. My grandfather is in the hospital right now, I begin, my voice steady, carrying farther than I expect. And for 4 days, he believed I didn't want to see him. A shift moves through the room. Subtle. But real. He believed that, I continue, because someone told him I said it. And that same person told me he didn't want visitors. I pause. Let it settle. My father kept us apart while he was lying in that bed. A few heads turn toward him. He steps forward slightly. "Lauren." I raise a hand, not aggressive, just enough to stop him. I'm not finished. I reach into my pocket and pull out my phone. "My grandfather knew something wasn't right," I say. "So he did something about it." I press play. The first recording fills the church. Clear. Unmistakable. "You're going to sign this paper today, or I'm going to move you somewhere that doesn't ask questions." The room goes completely still. No whispers now. No movement. Just listening. I play the second recording. Then the third. Each one landing heavier than the last. By the time my father's voice echoes through the church talking about transferring money, about controlling accounts, about making sure I wouldn't be a problem, the silence has changed. It's no longer quiet. It's tense. I lower the phone. "That's not confusion," I say. "That's not a misunderstanding. That's not someone handling things. That's exploitation." My father steps forward now, his composure cracking. "This is out of context," he says quickly. "He's sick. He doesn't know what he's saying. You're twisting." "That is your voice," a woman says from the second row. "Mrs. Carter." She stands slowly, her eyes locked on him. "I've known you your whole life," she continues. "And that is your voice." Murmurs ripple through the room. Another man stands. Then another. Pieces of the story shifting in real time. My father looks around, searching for something, support, control, a way back. He doesn't find it. My mother reaches for his arm, her face tight. "We should go," she whispers. For a moment, he doesn't move. Then he steps back. And just like that, the performance ends. They walk out. No speech. No explanation. Just gone. The door closes behind them, and the room stays still for a second longer, like everyone is catching up to what just happened. Then everything starts moving again. People stand. Voices rise. Not chaotic. But awake. Aware. I step away from the podium. Not because I have more to say, but because I've said enough. The next hour is a blur of conversations, questions, quiet apologies from people who didn't know, who couldn't have known. Rosa stays close, not saying much, just present. Ethan finds me near the back. He doesn't speak right away. Just looks at me. I didn't know, he says finally. I know. He nods, swallowing hard. I'm sorry. I shake my head. Just decide what you're going to do now. He nods again. And that's enough. Later, in the car, my phone rings. Detective Harris. I just got multiple calls about what happened at that church, he says. We're moving forward. Okay. Your father's going to be contacted. I look out the window as Rosa drives. The church getting smaller behind us. Good, I say. Sunday morning, I walk into the hospital without being stopped. No questions. No blocked access. Room 412 is quiet. My grandfather is still there, weaker than before, but when he sees me, something in his expression shifts. Recognition. Relief. I told them, I say softly, sitting beside him. He nods slightly, like he expected nothing less. Good, he whispers. I take his hand. And this time, there's no one standing in the doorway telling me I don't belong. 3 weeks later, I'm standing in the living room of the house he built. The floors still creak in the same places. The windows still catch the light the same way. It's mine now. Not because I fought for it, but because he made sure it would be. My father was charged. Financial exploitation. Fraud. Everything the recordings proved. My mother left before the case even went to court. Ethan comes by sometimes. We don't pretend everything is fixed. But we're not pretending anymore either. And that's enough. I still work my shifts. Still walk home at night. Still open the door to quiet and the faint smell of coffee. But now, there's something else there too. Certainty. Because if there's one thing I learned from all of this, it's this. You don't have to be loud to be strong. You just have to be willing to tell the truth when it matters. If this story meant something to you, subscribe to Women Reddit Stories and let me know in the comments where you're watching from.